And joining us now, Colorado Democratic Senator Michael Bennet. Senator Bennet, the Speaker of the House was rather optimistic today after her breakfast with the president. Is it a deal or no deal? What is your prognosis?
I'm very optimistic, Andrea. We've got to get something done. I feel like this process has gone on about 2 weeks longer than it should have, and we should come to agreement, and then we should get out to the American people and explain what we're trying to do after decades of spending $5.6 trillion for 2 wars in the Middle East that lasted for 20 years, and after decades of $5 trillion of tax cuts going to the wealthiest people in America, we finally are on the cusp of making major investments in the American people and in our infrastructure, and I think that's long overdue. So let's bring this to an end and let's get on with it.
And where are you on the filibuster at this point, given what Angus King told me and several other people before and after the vote, the key vote on voting rights on Wednesday, that he's now open to a carve-out for voting rights? Hadn't been before that necessarily, or at least a talking for filibuster. The president certainly moved in that direction in a big way last night.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone farther than that, and I would go farther than that. I think we make a mistake when we confuse Mitch McConnell's abuse or bastardization of the filibuster with the proper procedure of the Senate. It has nothing to do with a working Senate, and the Senate, in fact, doesn't work. I think we can reconstruct the rules in a way that creates an opportunity in the Senate for the minority to have very extensive debate and to offer amendments and to try to change legislation, as the Senate is meant to do. And then at the end of the day, 51 senators have to be able to make a decision. That is the way the founders designed the Senate. That's not the way the Senate works today. It is no longer the world's most deliberative body. So I think instead of defending something that's pure wreckage, which is what we have today, we ought to be figuring out how to change the rules to make it work again. And I would say, just, Andrea, the rise of totalitarian states around the world who now believe that democracy won't work in the 21st century makes the question of what we do with the Senate rules even more urgent than they've ever been before.
Yeah, as Senator King was pointing out the other night, that if you look at the 41 senators who voted to block even debate on voting rights, they represent something like 24% of the population of this country. Because, again, of the way this country has evolved. And you've got California having 2 senators and Wyoming and Montana having 2 senators. So what about gun control or police reform? How far would you go to change the filibuster or carve it out for other issues?
I think we should change it. Well, I think we should change it so we make the Senate work, so we give the minority the kind of opportunity to participate, as I said, and so 51 senators get to make a decision no matter what the issue is. I mean, right now, the problem with the Senate is nothing gets done, and then the American people can't hold anybody accountable for the fact that nothing's gotten done because the rules are so convoluted. That works very well for Mitch McConnell, who really isn't trying to accomplish much except put right-wing judges on the courts and cut taxes for the wealthiest people every now and then when he can. He's not trying to pass infrastructure, really, or trying to pass climate change legislation, or trying to deal with voting rights or guns, whatever it is. I don't think we should do it. You know, I accept that we, you know, if the only place we can get as a caucus is that we should do it just for voting rights, I certainly would be there to change it for voting rights. But I think we should do it more broadly because we've got to have a functioning democracy here. And the filibuster, as you're pointing out, doesn't create a functioning democracy because it compounds the problems of having a Senate that's so focused on some of the smallest populations in the country. We can do better than that. We can honor their need and their constitutional right to participate in the process while still being able to make decisions at the end of the day.
I want to also ask you about climate, because there's a new report from the U.S. intelligence, a new analysis and assessment that is warning the White House that climate change is posing a major national security threat. But a key pillar of the president's climate program, the clean energy program, is going to be dropped because of opposition from Senator Manchin. Now, you come from a state that has the most glorious environment, where, you know, I, as a child, loved to ride horses and went to school, and there could be nothing more beautiful than the Colorado Rockies, as far as I'm concerned. So, how do you feel about this?
Well, first of all, let me say to you, come back to Colorado. We'll take you anytime for as long as you want to be there. But let me tell you how I feel about it. We spent the entire summer in many parts of the state not being able to see the mountains. Imagine that, Andrea. People live in our state and come to Colorado, move to Colorado, so they can see the mountains. But because of the smoke from California, we weren't able to see it. The Colorado River is at a vanishingly small flow at this point, and as a result of that, Arizona is going to have to cut back on its water this year. We had mudslides that closed I-70 day after day after day, seriously diminishing the economy on the western slope of Colorado. So these issues are here today as a result of climate change. They are affecting our economy in Colorado today. They're affecting our culture today. I've had these conversations with Joe Manchin several times, a number of times, and we just have to keep pushing here. I mean, and then on top of everything else you and I are just talking about is the not surprising analysis from DOD and our intelligence community that climate change is a national security threat. It's a global security threat. When we see people going hungry because of climate change, when we see seaways changing because of climate change, when we see refugee crises being provoked because of climate change, the world has to act, and the world cannot act without the leadership of the United States of America. And that's why we got to get it sorted out here.
Well, thank you so much for your wisdom on all of this. It's really appreciated. Senator
Well, thanks
Bennet
for having
from
me.
Colorado.
Thanks, Andrea. Good to see you.